Hey there, wizards. How's it going? Just got to the leaky cauldron. Don't be a muggle. Subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated.
And don't forget that you can become a member of the channel and get access to exclusive benefits, like badges next to your name and emojis for you to use in the comments. You can highlight your comment with the thanks button or send your question to caldeiraofurado via the QR code on screen or the link in the description.
You didn't read the title of this video wrong.
All the spells from Harry Potter, all of them, every single one that appears in the movies, the books, the games, card games, everything, in text, in everything, in all the Harry Potter media we have.
All the spells I'm going to talk about here are official spells, which come from official materials. Kako, I only consider what's in the book.
Alright my friend, no problem. The purpose of the video is to show all the spells that exist in all the media.
You only consider the ones from the book, okay? Just stick with those. They're here on this list. They're listed in alphabetical order and not separated by categories. And there are also the unnamed spells that we don't know, the enchantment. For example, the limp finger spell. That spell doesn't exist. I'm just using an example. They're after the ones with names, okay? Muffled. This spell prevents other people from hearing nearby conversations by filling their ears with an unidentifiable buzzing sound. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, where Harry learns it from the Half-Blood Prince's book. Snape created the spell. Alohomora. This spell is used to open doors. In Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Queenie tries using Accio to open Percival Graves's office door. This is the spell for summoning objects. It summons objects whether they are in sight or not. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Harry learns it for the Triwizard Tournament's first task. Aguamenti. This spell produces a jet of clean, drinkable water from the tip of the wand. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Fleur Delacour uses it to put out dragon flames on her skirt. Alarte Ascendere. This spell shoots the target up into the air. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, used by Gilderoy Lockhart in an attempt to get rid of the snake that Draco Malfoy had conjured in the dueling club. The spell ends up being useless, but I believe that on a real living creature, not a conjured one, it could cause some damage. It's just going to toss it up and let it fall, right?
It can hurt. Alohomora, the classic spell to open doors, windows, chests, anything that has a lock. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, when Hermione uses it to open the door where they meet Fluffy for the first time. Amato, Animo, Animato, Animagus. This spell is used as part of the process to become an Animagus. The enchantment is also performed before drinking the potion. Not only at sunrise and sunset, it is performed at sunrise and sunset. Every day, before the potion is taken, and at the moment of drinking the potion, it is also performed. To recite the enchantment, touch the wand's tip to your heart. Although the spell was used in the story, it appears in the book Stories of Hogwarts. Feats, mishaps, and risky hobbies, where the full animagus transformation process exists. Anapnea. This spell cleans and clears the target's airways if they're choking on something. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, used by Slughorn to help a student who chokes during lunch on the Hogwarts Express. Antioculatia. This spell makes horns grow on the victim. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, when Pansy Parkinson is hit and spends days in the hospital wing. Apparatio. The spell reveals secret messages written in invisible ink or any other hidden markings. It also works against concealment spells. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when Hermione unsuccessfully uses it on Tom Riddle's diary to find something. Appar Vestigian. This spell reveals traces and remnants of magic left by wizards or magical creatures. It first appears in Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, where Newt Scamander uses it to track Tina Goldstein and other creatures. Apparition. Although it's not a spell as commonly used as the others were used to, apparition is still a spell. Apparition is first mentioned in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Aguamenti. This spell creates and controls a jet of clean water from the wand's tip. What sets it apart from Aguamenti is its intensity. It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Arania Exumai. This spell repels spiders. It can also be used against acromantulas, but it's not very effective.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Harry sees Tom Riddle using this spell in the memory he sees in the diary, Arresto Momentum. This spell slows down the speed of something that is falling.
It can be used in multiple ways, including on the caster.
It was invented in 1711, originally to be used on goals. So they fall slower, giving players time to catch them without going to the ground. Ascendio. This spell lifts the caster high into the air. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Harry uses it to surface. When he was in the Black Lake, Avada Kedavra.
Or also, as it is known, the Killing Curse. As the name says, it causes instant death, a painless death, and without leaving any trace.
There is no counter curse. There is no way to defend yourself by magic from the Killing Curse. That's why it is one of the 3 unforgivable curses. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, in the class of the fake Alastair Moody, Avifors. This spell transforms small objects and creatures into birds.
It first appears in the Harry Potter trading card game, a Harry Potter card game.
The spell also appears in other 2001 releases like the game Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone Avon Sagim. This spell turns an object into a tracking device. It appears in Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, when Newt Scamander uses it on a feather to track Yusuf Kama. Avis. This spell conjures a flock of birds from the tip of the wand.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, used by Mr. Ollivander to test Victor Crumb's wand at the wand weighing ceremony.
Boggart Banishing Hex. Although this hex is mentioned here by this name, its original name is Bat Bogey Hex, which, in the translation, was changed to Boggart Banishing Hex. Isn't that confusing? Actually, bogey here means nose mucus, not boggart. So, the correct term here would be Bat Bogey Hex. Its effect is to turn someone's nose mucus into bats that fly out of their nostrils.
It's a pretty annoying hex, and if used on creatures smaller than humans, it can be fatal.
It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Gina uses it on Draco Malfoy when they're trapped there by members of the Inquisitorial Squad.
Babilius. The exact effects of this spell are unknown, but it probably causes some damage because it produces sparks and a beam of white light from the tip of the wand. It appears for the first time in the Harry Potter trading card game, Bombarda. This spell causes a small explosion. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, when Hermione rescues Sirius from the tower. Bombarda Maxima. It creates a much stronger, more intense explosion than Bombarda. It's even capable of destroying walls. The spell Brachiobindo first appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, used by Umbridge to bind opponents with invisible ropes. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Brachium Emendo. This spell, if used correctly, mends broken bones. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when Gilderoy Lockhart unsuccessfully tries to use it on Harry. Bubblehead Charm spell. It produces a large bubble of air around the caster's head, allowing them to breathe while submerged in water.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, used by Cedric and Fleur Delacour in the Tri-Wizard Tournament's second task. Calvorio.
This spell removes the victim's hair. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Harry reads about this spell in the book Curses and Counter-Curses by Vindictum Viridian, when he's in Diagon Alley. Cantus. This spell makes the victim start singing uncontrollably.
It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban in the PC versions.
In the book Goblet of Fire, this spell is used by the Hogwarts professors to enchant the Hogwarts armors to sing Christmas songs. Capacious Extremis. This spell expands the internal dimensions of an object without affecting its external dimensions, increasing its capacity and making its contents lighter. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, enchanted by Arthur Weasley. So the whole family could fit in there, along with all their belongings. It's also the spell used on Newt Scamander's suitcase. It's the same spell used on the tent at the Quidditch World Cup where the Weasleys stay, and on Hermione's bag. This spell is forbidden by the Ministry of Magic, because otherwise, wizards could simply make a mansion inside a matchbox.
Carpe Retractum.
This spell produces a rope of light used to pull objects toward the caster or to pull the caster toward the object. It's in the game Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Meow Charm. This spell emits an alarm that sounds like several cats meowing at the same time if a specific person or more people step on a place where this spell was cast. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Cave Inimicum. This spell produces an invisible barrier that keeps the caster hidden from others. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, used by Hermione in conjunction with other spells to protect the places where they stayed in the forests. Circumroda. This spell makes objects spin. It appears for the first time in Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, where Leda Lestrange uses it to spin the towers of the registry room at the Ministry of Magic. System Aperio. This spell opens trunks and boxes. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when Tom Riddle uses it to open the box where Aragog was hidden. Colloportus. This spell locks doors and anything that can be locked. In Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Hermione uses it on a Department of Mysteries door to slow the Death Eaters during the battle. Even with this spell, Alohomora can open a door, making it pretty useless honestly. Coloshoe. This spell sticks the victim's shoes to the floor. First seen in Harry Potter, trade card games, and the book Curses and Counter Curses by Vindictus Viridianus. Colovaria. This spell is used to change the color of something. It's the spell that Dumbledore uses to change the colors of the banners at the end of year feast in Harry's first year. It also appears in Order of the Phoenix when the students need to use it during their rites. Confringo. This spell produces a fire explosion. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone on chocolate frog cards. In Deathly Hallows, Harry uses this spell to destroy, to separate the sidecar that was on Hagrid's motorcycle. Confundus. This spell leaves the victim confused and stunned. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince when Hermione uses it on Cormac McLaggen at the Gryffindor Quidditch goalkeeper tryouts. Conjunctivitis. This spell causes irritation in the eyes, forcing them to swell and close. Dragons are vulnerable to this spell since their eyes are a weak point. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, used by Victor Krum in the first task. Krinos Mutu. This spell is used to transfigure someone's hair color and style. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, where Harry uses it to change his eyebrow color. But it's identified as Krinos Mutu in the Harry Potter Lego game, Cruciatus. The torture curse makes the victim feel unbearable pain, to the point of wishing for death. Prolonged use on a victim can cause irreparable damage. It's also one of the 3 unforgivable curses, because there is no defense against this magic. He first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire during the lesson with the fake Moody. Defodio. This spell allows the caster to dig through rocks. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and it's used to open paths through the rocks in Gringotts when they're escaping on the dragon. Deletrius. This spell is used to make the shadow cast by the spell disappear. Prior Incantato appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire when Amos Diggory uses it to reveal the last spell cast by Harry's wand, which Winky had. He then erases the evidence shown by the spell. Densaugeo. This spell makes the victim's teeth grow uncontrollably. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire when Draco Malfoy hits Hermione Granger, causing her teeth to grow to her chest. Deprimo. This spell is used to make holes in the ground. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Hermione uses it to create a hole in Xenophilius Lovegood's floor during a Death Eater ambush. Depulso pushes the target away from the caster and first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, while the students learn in Charms class. Descendo. This spell makes the object fall or move downward. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Disapparition. Just like apparition, which is a spell, disapparition is also a spell. Apparition is appearing in a place, and disapparition is disappearing from a place. So, they are different mechanisms, so that's why they are considered 2 different types of spells, even though they have pretty much the same purpose. Diffindo. Used to cut or tear objects with precision. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Harry uses it to tear Cedric's backpack to get his attention and talk to him privately, away from other people. Diminuendo. This spell forces the target to shrink. First seen in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Nigel uses it during Dumbledore's army lessons. Descendium. This spell opens passages. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, when he uses it to open the secret passage in the one-eyed witch statue, Draconophores. This spell turns the target into a dragon.
In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Hermione uses the spell Ducklifores during a mission where she controls a small dragon.
This spell turns the victim into a duck. It appears in the game Lego Harry Potter. Duro. This spell turns an object into stone. It appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, used by Hermione Granger while escaping from the Death Eaters during the Battle of Hogwarts. Ibublio.
This jinx causes the victim to be trapped inside a large bubble. It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Engorgio. This spell increases the size of things. It is first mentioned in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire,
although its effect had already been mentioned before by Hagrid, who said he used the spell on the pumpkins in his patch. Engorgio Scullis. This spell makes the victim's skull swell disproportionately. The enchantment first appears in Harry Potter Lego Years 1 to 4. It's mentioned in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Emancipare. This spell releases the opponent from ropes conjured by the spell Fugare.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Enervate. This spell awakens a victim who has been knocked out, stunned by a stunning spell. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Amos Diggory uses it to wake up Inky, who is unconscious. Enervate Vulnera Sanantur.
This spell apparently zombifies a dead creature, turning it into a kind of puppet. It appears in Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore, where Grindelwald uses it to turn the baby he killed into a zombie. Entomorphous. This spell is used to transform the target into an insectoid, a human with an insect-like appearance, with insect features. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, when Harry thinks about using it against Dudley, but ends up not doing it. Stupefy, the classic spell to stun victims. It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Aurors first use it at the Quidditch World Cup, nearly hitting Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Episci.
This spell is used to heal apparently minor injuries, like broken bones and cartilage.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, when Tonks heals Harry's nose with it,
after he gets stomped on the face by Draco. Epoxymize. This spell sticks one object to another, making a super glue. It's in Harry Potter trading card games, and appears in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, when Newt uses it to stick the Niffler to the window. Erecto Spell. I know you're childish, so you probably laughed. The spell's description isn't helpful. This spell is used to set up a tent or another vertical structure. First seen in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Hermione Granger uses it to build a shelter and set up the tent for herself, Harry, and Ron. Evanesce. This spell makes the target disappear. It appears in the Harry Potter trading card games. Evanesco is a spell that also makes something disappear.
It appears in Order of the Phoenix, used by Gil Islay to make a stack of old scrolls disappear while cleaning Grimold Place.
Vipera Evanesco. This spell makes a magically conjured snake disappear.
It could be a form of Evanesco with Vipera added, since it relates to snakes, venom, and serpents.
First seen in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Everte Statum is a spell in the movie that hurls the victim backwards. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when Draco uses it against Harry in the Dueling Club. Expecto Patronum. I think Expecto Patronum needs no explanation, right? It's a spell used to repel Dementors, and it's very difficult to cast. It's a symbol of power and ability for wizards to conjure a corporeal Patronus. It always takes the form of an animal, and to cast it you need to have very strong memories.
First appearing in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Expelliarmus is the disarming spell that saved Harry many times by making an opponent's wand fly from their hand.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, used by Severus Snape against Gilderoy Lockhart during the Dueling Club. Expulso. This spell causes an explosion, but not like Bombarda. This spell uses pressure to do that instead of heat.
Appearing first in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Dolorov uses it during the battle at the Ferula Cafe.
This spell conjures bandages and wraps them around a wound, immobilizing any broken bone. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban when Lupin uses Neuron Fianto Duri.
This is a protection spell. used on a perimeter in an area to protect a place.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows as the teachers try to strengthen the school to delay Voldemort.
Fidelius Charm. This spell is extremely complex and it hides information within a person's soul.
This person becomes the secret keeper, and nothing can extract the information from them unless they choose to give it up. A person may be tortured or have their mind invaded, but no one can take this information from them unless they choose to reveal it freely.
When a place is under this spell or people are hidden by this spell, that person's enemies can come face to face with them and still won't be able to find them. He first appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Fiendfire. This spell releases a cursed fire that takes the shape of creatures and beasts that seek to destroy everything. They burn everything, and it's impossible to put out with water spells. It's highly dangerous and hard to control. It's one of the few ways to destroy a Horcrux. First seen in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Crabbe uses it in the Room of Requirement. Finestra. This spell breaks glass. It appears in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, when Newt uses it to break a jewelry store window to try to recover the Niffler. Finite Incantatum. This spell ends the effect of many other spells. It can't be used against all spells, but it works against most of them.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets during the Dueling Club.
Snape uses the spell Flagrate to write with fire in the air. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Tom Riddle used this spell to write his name and reveal the anagram I am Lord Voldemort. Hermione also used it to mark doors in the Department of Mysteries at the Ministry of Magic. Flint Force.
This spell turns objects into matchboxes. It appears for the first time in the game Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Flipendo Classic. Flipendo. Anyone who plays the Harry Potter games has known Flipendo for a long time. This spell pushes objects and creatures backward. The spell has variations like Flipendo Duo, Flipendo Maxima, and Flipendo Tria, which differ only in strength.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and is taught in the initial Defense Against the Dark Arts class.
It later appears in games like Hogwarts Legacy and in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Fractostrata.
This spell emits an electric shock that breaks small objects into pieces. It appears in the game Lego Harry Potter.
Fumos. You got it, right? It's Fumos, not Lumos, right? This spell, Fumos, creates a defensive smokescreen that makes visibility difficult.
It appears in both Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets and the Harry Potter trading card game, as noted in the self-protection guide.
He says the dark spell, Furnunculus, covers its victim with boils. It's self-explanatory. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Fulgari. This spell produces luminous ropes that bind the victim's arms.
It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Geminaio.
This spell makes an exact copy of an object, but the copy lacks any value or magical properties of the original.
There is a variation of this spell to infinitely multiply objects.
Touched, as seen in the Lestrange Vault. Using this variation of the spell can be fatal, because the person can be crushed. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when Hermione Granger uses it to break into the Ministry of Magic. To take the locket from Dolores Umbridge, she creates an identical copy so that Dolores wouldn't suspect anything when she regained consciousness. Glacius. This spell freezes the target. Not the target, Dumbledore. Poor Dumbledore. He's counting on this video and handling a lot, isn't he? I often say the target, but I don't mean target Dumbledore. I mean the real target. It first appears in the Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban game. Glisseo. This spell makes the steps of a staircase flatten and turn into a slide. It appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, used by Hermione to escape from the Death Eaters during the Battle of Hogwarts. Hominum Revelio. This spell reveals the presence of humans in a place. First mentioned in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, it's used non-verbally by Dumbledore in Chamber of Secrets. The homunculus spell lets you track everyone's movements on a map, as long as they're inside the map's area. It appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
It is one of the hidden spells in the Marauder's Map. It was identified as the homunculus spell in the text The Marauder's Map, published on Pottermore and written by J.K. Rowling herself.
Homorphous. This spell causes a werewolf to temporarily return to human form.
In Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Gilderoy Lockhart claims he used this spell to force the Wagga werewolf back into human form.
We don't know if this spell exists or is true.
Harmonia Nectare Passus. This spell is used to activate the magic of the Vanishing Cabinet. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Herbivores. This spell makes flowers bloom on the victim. It appears in LEGO Harry Potter Years 1, 4, 5, 7, and Hogwarts Mystery. Herbivicus.
This spell is used to make magical plants grow faster.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, taught by Professor Sprout in herbology classes.
Impervious. This spell makes an object waterproof, causing it to repel water. Hermione uses it in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban to make Harry's glasses waterproof, so he can see better during the game. Inanimatus Conjurus. This spell has an unknown effect, but it is probably used to conjure an inanimate object. It appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Minerva assigns an essay about it to the 5th-year students.
It's also used in Harry Potter, Hogwarts Mystery to decorate areas by conjuring objects.
Spell Incarcerus. It ties up the target with ropes conjured out of nowhere.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix when Umbridge tries to restrain the centaurs in the Forbidden Forest.
Incendio. It's a spell that produces fire. In Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Arthur uses it to light the fire at the Dursleys' house. Lacarnum Inflammari. This spell lights something using a little ball of fire.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
In the movie, Hermione uses it to distract Snape. Inflatus. This spell inflates the target, filling it with air and making it float. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, as the spell Harry accidentally uses on Aunt Marge. Informus. This spell is used to collect data and information, such as the strengths and weaknesses of a magical creature. It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets for Game Boy Advance. Illigibrus. This spell makes it impossible to read something written. It appears in the game Harry Potter trading card game. Immobulus. This spell immobilizes, paralyzing the victim. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets,
when Hermione uses it to contain the Cornish pixies in Gilderoy Lockhart's class. Impedimenta.
This spell makes the victim's movements extremely slow. Unlike Immobulus, which paralyzes, this spell only reduces speed. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Harry practices it for the Triwizard Tournament's 3rd task. The Imperio Curse, one of the 3 unforgivable curses, lets the caster completely control the victim, forcing them to commit terrible acts.
Without knowing that they are doing it.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, taught by Fake Moody in Defense Against the Dark Arts. Langlock. This jinx sticks the victim's tongue to the roof of their mouth. Severus Snape created it, and it first appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and Harry uses it against Peeves. Lapifores. This spell turns the target into a rabbit. It appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Legilimens. This is the spell used by a legilimens to penetrate the layers of other people's minds.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix when Snape teaches Harry occlumency.
Levicorpus. This spell hangs a person in the air by their ankle. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince and was created by Snape. Levioso. This spell makes objects levitate, but it doesn't move them. It appears for the first time in Hogwarts Legacy. Libra Corpus is the counterspell to Levicorpus, canceling its effect. It appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Locomotor. This spell allows you to move an object in any direction, lifting it a few centimeters off the ground.
Usually the name of the object the person wants to move is said together with the spell.
For example, locomotor trunks or locomotor chest. The spell first appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix when Tonks uses it to carry Harry's trunk, when the Order of the Phoenix rescues him from Privet Drive. Locomotor mortis. This spell binds the victim's legs together, making it impossible for them to move. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Draco casts it on Neville. It's the famous leg locker curse. Locomotor wibbly. This spell makes the victim's legs go limp, as if they've turned to jelly.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire when Hermione casts it on Harry as they train for the Triwizard Tournament's 3rd task.
Pure Totem Locomotor. This spell makes statues come to life.
This spell appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows because Minerva McGonagall always wanted to use it.
Lumos, a spell that lights up the tip of the wand.
It first appears in the movie Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, but Harry had used it before in the previous book,
When he went to follow the spiders in the Forbidden Forest. Lumos Maxima. It produces a blinding flash of bright white light from the tip of the wand.
It's the strongest variation of the Lumos spell, and, believe it or not, it only exists in the movies. It appears for the first time in the movie Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Lumos Solem. Unlike Lumos, this spell produces sunlight.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, when Hermione rescues Ron from the Devil's Snare. And it also only exists in the movie Magicus Extremos. This spell temporarily enhances spells that are cast together and in sync with another caster. It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Malephors. This spell wraps the victim's head in a pumpkin. It appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
But in the 5th book, when Dumbledore escapes from Fudge, there's a rumor that Fudge was hit by this spell.
Meteorologynx Recanto. This spell causes weather effects created by other jinxes to cease. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when Ron uses it in Yaxley's office while disguised as Reginald Cattermole. Mimblewimble. This curse ties the target's tongue in a knot, preventing them from speaking clearly.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows.
And it's the spell that Moody uses after Dumbledore's death to protect Grimmauld Place.
Mobiliarbus. This spell moves trees or objects made of wood, like wands, for example.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, when Hermione uses it to place a Christmas tree in front of Harry at the 3 broomsticks to hide him. Mobilicorpus. This spell levitates and moves living or dead bodies.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Sirius Black uses this spell to carry Severus Snape while he is unconscious.
Moliar. This spell produces an invisible cushion. It is mainly used in the making of brooms. It appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, where Hermione uses it to cushion their fall at Gringotts Bank.
In the movie, she uses it here. The book doesn't specify, but this seems closest. Amors Mordor.
This spell conjures the Dark Mark, the symbol of the Death Eaters and Voldemort. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Barty Crouch Jr. casts it at the Quidditch World Cup. Mucus ad nauseum. This spell causes a severe cold with a lot of runny nose in the victim, and this cold is caused by constant sneezing that produces a lot of mucus.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Quirrell teaches it to first years, and Ron calls it the boogie curse or snot curse. In Portuguese, it became spell, but in English, it's boogie curse, so it's boogie curse or snot curse. Multicorphers. This spell is used to change the colors and style of a person's clothes.
It appears in the Lego Harry Potter game, Mutatio Scutolis.
This spell makes extra heads grow on the victim. It is mentioned by Ron in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, when he talks about the spells that wizards used in ancient Egypt to protect sarcophagi and keep thieves away from the pyramids. Nox. This is the spell that puts out the light. It's the counterspell to Lumos. It appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Nebulous. This spell creates a dense mist from the tip of the wand, turning a clear day completely cloudy and dark. It appears in Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Dumbledore uses it to obscure vision since Ministry of Magic officials were following them. Obliviate. This spell erases specific memories.
It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Gilderoy Lockhart tries to use it on Harry and Ron,
but the spell backfires because of Ron's broken wand. Obscuro. This spell blinds the person hit by it with a black blindfold. It appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, where Hermione uses it on Phineas Nigellus Black's portrait to hide their location. Opugno. This spell makes conjured objects or creatures attack a person. In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Hermione uses it on the birds she conjured with Avis to attack Ron. Orbis. This spell pulls the target into the ground and appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Orchideus conjures a bouquet of flowers from the wand tip. It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Ollivander uses this spell to test Fleur Delacour's wand during the weighing of the wands. Oscauci. This jinx makes the victim's mouth disappear. In Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, Leda Lestrange uses it on a student during school. Pack.
This spell puts belongings inside the suitcase. It appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and Tonks uses it to pack Harry's things.
In Portuguese, it was translated as pack bags, partes temporas.
This spell briefly creates a rift, splitting any barrier or spell, and can also be used on elements like water or fire.
In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Dumbledore uses it to part the Ring of Fire.
In the Crystal Cave and escape from the Inferi. Periculum. This spell shoots red sparks from the tip of the wand.
In Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, champions use it during the Triwizard Tournament's third task to signal emergencies.
Pesci Pixie Pesternomi. This spell is said to contain Cornish pixies, but we don't know if that's actually proven. Why? Its first and only appearance is in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, where Gilderoy Lockhart fails to use this spell. Piscifers. This spell transforms the target into a fish. It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and it's probably the spell that Horace Slughorn mentions in Half-Blood Prince, which Harry's mother used to turn a flower petal into a little fish.
Portus. This spell is used to turn an object into a port key. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Prior Incantato. This spell shows the last spell cast by a wand.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
When Amos Diggory uses this spell on Harry's wand to see if it had been used to cast the Dark Mark. Prior Incantato is the spell, but the phenomenon Priori Incantatum is different. This phenomenon is rare and happens when two twin wands try to attack each other and become connected, forcing one to regurgitate the echoes of its last spells. Protego, the basic shield spell. It conjures an invisible shield to protect against some physical attacks and spells.
In Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Hermione teaches Harry the spell as he trains for the Triwizard Tournament's third task.
Protego Diabolica. This spell conjures a protective ring of fire around the caster and kills only the enemies.
It first appears in Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, used by Grindelwald.
Protego Horribilis. This is an advanced protection spell against dark magic and intruders.
In Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Flitwick casts it to protect the school before the Battle of Hogwarts.
Protego Maxima. It's also a powerful shield spell against dark magic, a much stronger version of Protego, especially when combined with other protective spells.
It's powerful enough to disintegrate anyone who crosses it. It appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows to protect the castle before the battle.
Protego Totalum is another form of Protego.
It's used not only in the Battle of Hogwarts to protect the school, but also by Harry and Hermione to protect the areas where they camped.
Pulles. This jinx turns the victim into a chicken. It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Quietus. This spell makes the sound of crowds lower or completely silent.
Ludo Bagman uses it to address the crowd in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Redactum Scullos. This spell is the counterspell to Engorgio Sculos. It reduces the size of a person's head. It appears in the Lego Harry Potter game. Reducio. This spell makes an object shrink in size. It's the spell used to reverse Engorgio. Reducio appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when Harry uses it to test the Elder Wand. Reducto. Unlike Reducio, Reducto is a curse. It breaks objects and can disintegrate them based on intensity. It appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Gina Weasley excels with the spell Repairaphores. This healing spell reverses minor injuries and mild magically induced illnesses, such as paralysis and poisoning.
Appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban for Game Boy Advance. Reverses.
This spell makes objects return to their original position or state. It appears in Fantastic Beasts. The Crimes of Grindelwald. Leta Lestrange uses it to make the Wizarding family files return to their place in the Ministry of Magic. Relaxo. This spell forces the target to let go of whatever they are holding.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, where Harry uses it against Grindylows in the second task.
Repararfarge. This spell is used to reverse incomplete transformations.
It appears in Potterman in the Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration.
Reparo.
This spell repairs broken, torn, or destroyed objects.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, when Hermione uses it to fix Harry's glasses. In that case, since she wanted to fix the glasses, she says Oculus Reparo. When Newt wants to fix a torn piece of paper, he says, Papyrus reparo, repello muggletum. This spell prevents muggles from seeing or entering where the spell was cast. When a muggle approaches this area, they forget where they were going, what they were doing, or remember something they needed to do and end up changing direction. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, used at the Quidditch World Cup campsite. Repello inimicum. The effect of this spell by itself is unknown, but when combined with other protective spells, it can disintegrate enemies who try to cross the barriers. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Revelio. The Revelio spell is the most used in the game Hogwarts Legacy. It reveals hidden secrets in a place or in an object, things concealed in magical objects, or a person under a disguise. It appears for the first time in the game Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and later in the movie Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Rictus Sempra. This spell tickles the victim, and although it might seem silly, it's actually quite annoying, because tickling is the most infernal thing in the world. This spell is basically a form of torture, first appearing in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Ridiculous. This is the spell used against boggarts, because it forces the boggart to take on a funny form, canceling out its effect of causing fear.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban during Lupin's initial defense against the Dark Arts class.
Salvio Hexia. This spell protects an area against jinxes and curses.
It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows,
when Harry and Hermione cast it around the campsite where they stay while fleeing through the forest. Scourgify. This spell cleans objects. In Brazil, it was simply translated as clean. While seen earlier, the incantation is first spoken in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix,
when Tonks tries to clean Hedwig's cage with it while rescuing Harry at Privet Drive. Sectum Sempra.
This curse makes very deep cuts on the victim, similar to sword wounds.
If the victim is not properly helped, they can bleed to death. This curse was created by Severus Snape to use against his enemies.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Serpens Sorcia.
This spell creates a snake from the wand's tip.
It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when Draco conjures it in the dueling club to attack Harry. Silencio.
This spell makes something silent. It's different from quietus, which reduces the noise of crowds. This one makes someone completely soundless. Hermione uses it in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix to silence a raven in Charms class. She also uses it against Antonin Dolohov in the Department of Mysteries battle, which actually saved her life. Unable to speak, he casts his dangerous curse a bit weaker because it's nonverbal,
and that saved Hermione's life.
Scourge. This spell is used to clean ectoplasm and scare away ghosts and other spirits.
It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets in the PC, console, and Game Boy Color versions.
Slugulus Eructo. This is the famous spell that Ron uses against Draco.
Slugface. It makes the victim vomit slugs when it works, because Ron, poor guy, had it backfire and ended up making himself vomit slugs.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, but its spell is only named in the Lego Harry Potter game. Sonorous.
This spell makes it so that when the caster touches the tip of their wand to their neck, their voice is amplified as if they were using a microphone connected to speakers.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire at the Quidditch World Cup, when Ludo Bagman uses it to address the audience. Especialis Revelio. This spell reveals other spells cast on objects or potions. It appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, when Hermione uses it to try to find out if there is any hidden magic in the Half-Blood Prince's book. Spongify. This spell turns rigid objects into elastic ones, allowing you to use a stone, for example, as a trampoline. Appears in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Sternius. This spell causes the victim to sneeze uncontrollably for a short time. It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Surgito. This counterspell is used to remove certain types of enchantments.
In Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, Newt Scamander frees Jacob from Queenie's enchantment.
Tarantallegra. This spell causes the victim's legs to spasm uncontrollably and intensely, making it look like they're dancing in a very strange way.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, in the Dueling Club. Tentaclophores.
This spell transfigures the victim's head into a tentacle. It appears in the Harry Potter Lego game, Turgeo. This spell sucks up dirt, such as spilled blood, liquids, and grease.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince when Hermione uses it to clean blood from Harry's face.
Titillando, a spell like Rictusempra, tickles the victim and leaves them weak.
It appears in the Harry Potter trading card game, Ventus. This spell shoots a very strong blast of wind from the tip of the wand, aimed specifically at the victim.
It only affects the victim, not others around them. It appears in Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Newt uses it against a ministry employee who was chasing him. Vera Verto. This spell turns animals into water goblets. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Verdilius. This spell is used to shoot green sparks from the tip of the wand.
Its first appearance is in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, in the Forbidden Forest, when Hagrid takes the students to serve detention.
The enchantment is not identified in the book, but it is identified in the Harry Potter trading card game. But, in the book, they use the spell to shoot green sparks, so it's this Verdimillious spell. This spell also produces green sparks, but these sparks can be used to cause damage to the opponent. It appears in the Harry Potter trading card game, Vermiculus. This spell turns things into worms.
The spell Vermilius appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and the Philosopher's Stone. It shoots red sparks from the wand. It has pretty much the same function as Periculum, except it's Vermilius, not Periculum. It's not named in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, but it is in the Harry Potter trading card game.
Vipera Evanesca. This spell makes conjured snakes disappear. It appears in the movie Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when Severus Snape uses it to get rid of the snake that Draco conjured. Vulnera Sanantur. This is a healing spell that slows down blood flow, cleans debris, and heals wounds. It's one of the spells that can be used to heal the wounds caused by Sectum Sempra. In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Snape helps Draco after Harry attacks him, using Wadi Wasi. This spell is used to shoot an object at someone. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, when Lupin uses it to shoot a piece of gum that Peeves put in Filch's cabinet lock back at him. Wingardium Leviosa.
Oops, sorry Hermione. You're right, it's Leviosa.
This spell makes objects levitate, and you can move them in any direction while they're in the air.
It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, both in the book and in the movie.
And now we come to the spells that don't have a proper incantation name, or maybe they do, but they're unknown. The arrow shooting spell. Well, as the name suggests, it shoots arrows from the tip of the wand.
It first appeared in Quidditch Through the Ages, and it's the spell that the supporters of the Appleby Arrows team used in the stands to celebrate something.
But it was banned because it was hurting other people and even hit a referee's nose. The anti-disapparition spell, as the name implies, stops someone from disapparating from a location. If this spell is cast on an area, the person inside can't disapparate from there, and the anti-disapparition spell appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, when Dumbledore traps the Death Eaters in the Department of Mysteries. And there's also the anti-apparition spell, which is the spell that prevents a person from entering the place where it was cast. Both are often used together at places like Hogwarts, which has anti-apparition and anti-disapparition spells, so you can't enter or leave by apparition. The anti-apparition spell is referenced in Prisoner of Azkaban when Hermione says Sirius Black couldn't apparate into Hogwarts. The age line spell. This spell conjures a line that prevents people below or above a specific age from crossing.
And if someone tries to bypass this spell, it can have some rather funny consequences.
Oh, and the age line spell appears for the first time in Goblet of Fire, the anti-cheating spell. Well, that's a pretty general spell, and there must be more than one type of anti-cheating spell, because there are several cheating spells.
It does exactly what the name suggests. It prevents cheating in school exams and tests.
Some quills are enchanted with this spell, and it is first mentioned in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Dolohov's Curse. This was a curse that we don't know if it was created by Antonin Dolohov himself, but he used it in the Department of Mysteries.
And it hit Hermione, who had to stay in the infirmary for 10 days. In other words, it's a very powerful curse that has the ability to kill.
Hermione survived because she silenced Dolohov, forcing him to cast the curse non-verbally, which weakened it. Atmospheric spell. It's a magic that creates weather conditions inside a room when cast. For example, to make it rain, snow, or become sunny. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows.
It's the enchantment that was in Yaxley's office, making it rain, and that Ron needs to fix.
Disguised as Reginald Cattermole, the transfiguration spell turns someone or something into a badger, as the name implies.
He appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Harry is passing by Minerva's office.
He hears her angrily scolding a student for turning a classmate into a badger. And this spell also appears in the Harry Potter trading card game. Babbling Curse. This curse makes the victim babble uncontrollably, just like silly baboons babbling in a group. It appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Gilderoy Lockhart claims he saved a wizard from this curse. So who knows if it really exists, if it's real, or if he was just making up the part about actually saving someone. Basic spell. Well, what is the basic spell? It's simply a spell that causes minor damage and breaks some small objects.
It also appears in Hogwarts Legacy as the basic spell the character uses to attack certain things.
But it's still a spell from the Harry Potter universe. Disillusionment Charm. This spell allows the caster to disguise things.
In Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Xenophilius Lovegood mentions it when explaining invisibility cloaks and how some may have this spell.
Bluebell Flames Charm. This spell produces blue flames that can be stored in jars. They don't burn when in contact with skin, but they can scorch clothes and other materials.
In Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Hermione uses it to distract Snape.
She uses this spell against the Devil's Snare. But wait, wasn't it Lumos Solemn she used?
In the movie, yes. In the book, no. She uses this one. So, since each appears in a different medium,
the video aims to discuss both. Here they are.
Blue Spark spell creates blue sparks from a wand's tip, as the name suggests.
It can also be used offensively to harm someone.
It first appears in the Quidditch World Cup text in 2014,
where the United States fans were conjuring blue, red, and white sparks. Interestingly, in the draft of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, the Advance Guard planned to use blue sparks to signal when they'd rescue Harry from Privet Drive. But they end up using green and red. Bridge Conjuring Spell. Well, you won't believe what this spell does.
It creates a bridge, as shown in the Three Brothers story, where they conjure one to cross a river.
Berserk Broom Jinx. This spell is used to make brooms try to throw off their riders with violent, uncontrollable, and sudden movements.
It's in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and is the jinx Quirrell uses to try to knock Harry off.
Bubble Spell. Unlike the Bubblehead Charm, this spell produces a stream of bubbles that don't pop.
These bubbles are used in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone to decorate the Christmas trees when Professor Flitwick conjures golden bubbles. Cascade Jinx. This spell attacks several opponents who are close to a victim.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 1 for Nintendo DS.
Transfigure Cauldron into Sieve. That's suggestive too. It changes a cauldron into a sieve.
It appears in the Harry Potter trading card game. Cauldron to Badger Transfiguration appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Euphoria Spell. This spell makes the person hit by it become completely happy and euphoric, to the point of losing control.
And if used too many times, it can cause a fit of hysterical laughter.
Felix Summerby is first mentioned as the inventor of this spell on the Chocolate Frog cards, and in the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone video game and PC version.
Cleaning Spell. Well, it's a very general spell for cleaning objects.
It appears on J.K. Rowling's official website and in the game Hogwarts Mystery.
Concealment Spell. Although I've already talked about another spell with this name, this one also appears on another occasion, so it's a different spell.
It hides things or places from sight, making them invisible, and also conceals objects' magical properties. Although it first appeared in Order of the Phoenix, it had already been mentioned before in Prisoner of Azkaban.
Cornflake Skin Spell. This spell makes the victim's skin break out in bumps, making it look like cornflakes.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix when Cassius Warrington, from the Inquisitorial Squad, ends up in the hospital wing as a victim of this spell.
Cracker Jinx. This spell is used to conjure fireworks and explosives to use against someone.
It can even be used in duels. It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban for Game Boy Advance.
Transfigure Table into Pig does exactly what its name suggests. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. when Professor Minerva uses this spell to demonstrate transfiguration to the first-year freshman class. Disintegration spell. This spell makes the victim's body become stiff and dry, making them completely vulnerable to a subsequent spell. It appears for the first time in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and it's the spell that Molly uses to kill Bellatrix. Disillusionment spell. This spell makes the target blend perfectly into the environment, camouflaging like a chameleon, making them practically invisible. It's a spell that's often used in invisibility cloaks.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, when Moody uses this spell to rescue Harry from Privet Drive.
Drying spell. This spell is used to dry up puddles, small ponds, or a reasonable amount of water.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire as Harry researches how to complete the Triwizard Tournament's second task.
Spell to turn ears into kumquats. And by now, you must be wondering what the heck is a kumquat. Well, a kumquat is a fruit.
It looks like an orange, only much smaller. It has other names, like Kiko Little Orange, but that doesn't change what it is.
This spell first appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix mentioned in the Quibbler, which Luna Lovegood reads on the Hogwarts Express.
Ear Shrinking Curse. This spell causes the target's ears to shrink. It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Ron says that Bill received a hat from a correspondent at Castelo Bruxo.
With this curse, he missed out on the exchange to the school in Brazil. Entrail Expelling Curse. The name says it all.
It's a curse that rips out the target's entrails, mentioned in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Extinguisher spell. This spell puts out fires.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets and is mentioned by Charlie Weasley in the Goblet of Fire book.
Memory Alteration Spell. This spell allows you to alter existing memories or even insert completely false memories into the victim's mind, making the victim completely forget who they are.
Voldemort uses this spell at least twice, on his Uncle Morphin, to make him confess to the Riddle murders, and on Hoki, to make her take the blame for her mistress's murder.
Hermione uses this spell to change her parents' memories for their safety during the Second Wizarding War.
Spell to make objects as light as a feather. The name is self-explanatory.
This spell appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Harry considers using it to lighten his trunk so he can carry it on his broomstick to Diagon Alley. Ferret Transfiguration is seen in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Fake Moody turns Draco into a ferret as punishment. The Jinx to remove fingers first appears in Quidditch Through the Ages, when Grunhilde Cnid becomes very angry with her Quidditch player husband for coming home late and puts a jinx on him, taking his fingers. Fire Tornado. This spell produces a large circle of fire and is very useful against Inferi.
In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Dumbledore uses it in the cave to save himself and Harry.
Fiendfire Curse.
This spell makes objects enchanted by it burn like embers on the skin of anyone who comes into contact with them. The Flame Freezing charm appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows and is used in the Lestrange Vault. It makes fire feel like a tickle instead of burning, but doesn't change its appearance.
In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry writes an essay on Wendelin the Weird, a witch who enjoyed being captured,
just to feel the tickling sensation that the flame-freezing fire gave her.
Vial Conjuring. This spell makes the person conjure glass vials. It appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when Hermione Granger uses this spell to give Harry a vial when he collects Snape's memories.
Flying Spell. This spell is cast on brooms.
In Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Draco Malfoy mentions this spell to insult Ron's broom.
Hair Growing Spell. This spell causes hair to grow on the victim.
Approved by Tony Ramos, appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Fred and George use it on themselves to cheer up Ginny, who was feeling down.
Gripping Charm. It's used to help hold an object more effectively. It appears for the first time in Quidditch Through the Ages.
Some deduce this spell is Arresto Momentum, but its incantation isn't mentioned in Quidditch Through the Ages.
So it goes on the list here as a spell with no known incantation.
Gitresh Conjuring Spell. Gitresh is a magical creature similar to a dog, and this spell conjures these green, glowing creatures from the tip of the wand to be used against opponents. It appears in the game Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. For those who think these game spells don't matter, here's a detail. This spell, for example, was created from drafts of things that didn't make it into the books, which J.K. Rowling herself sent to the game developers. Gitresh was meant to appear in Harry Potter but remained in drafts and wasn't included.
So it's not something completely made up by the people who made the game, just because it didn't make it into the final version of the book. Horn-tongue Jinx. This Jinx turns the victim's tongue into a horn. It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire as Harry researches how to get past the dragon in the first task.
Horton Keech Breaking Charm. This spell, patented by wizards Basil Horton and Randolph Keech, allows players to break their broomsticks with more precision. It first appears in Quidditch through the ages.
Horcrux Creation Spell. This spell is used as part of the ritual for creating a Horcrux.
And it is completely unknown, but it is the spell that removes the soul from the body of the one who made the Horcrux and traps it in an object.
It's mentioned in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Hot Air Spell or Drying Spell. This spell makes hot air come out of the tip of the wand and helps dry wet clothes or warm someone up. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, used by Hermione to dry her robes, and later in Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. The Time Turner spell, which enchants time turners, reverses an hour but is unstable.
That's why it only works safely when placed in the Time Turner's hourglass.
It's mentioned in the Time Turner text from Pottermore by J.K. Rowling. Throwing Jinx. This spell makes brooms throw the rider off. It's different from the Jinx Quirrell used on Harry's broom in the first year, since Quirrell kept casting the spell while holding eye contact.
This Jinx can be placed on the broom and simply knock the rider off by surprise. In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Flitwick inspects the firebolt broom Harry receives from an unknown sender to check for any danger, including this spell.
Sneak Jinx. This jinx causes someone who breaks a sworn promise to get boils on their face spelling out the word sneak.
And the scars are really hard to get rid of.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix when Hermione casts it on the Dumbledore's army parchment.
They tried to avoid betrayal, but it happened. Marietta Edgecombe paid the price.
Hair Thickening Spell. This spell makes the victim's hair and eyebrows grow uncontrollably and become very thick.
In Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Miles Bletchley uses this jinx on Alicia Spinette while she studies with her back turned in the library.
Ice Cube Spell. Well, this spell creates an ice cube.
It appears in Harry Potter, Puzzles & Spells. Imperturbable Charm. This spell forms an invisible barrier on an object such as a door. This barrier makes objects bounce off when thrown against the door,
and blocks someone from hearing conversations on the other side of the door.
He appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, where Molly uses the spell on the kitchen door, so that no one hears what happens in the Order of the Phoenix meetings. It's different from Muffliato, Scalping Jinx. Though the name sounds more violent, it just removes all the victim's hair.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Harry is researching ways to face the dragon.
Intruder Alarm Spell. Well, it's also kind of a general spell, right? And there can be more than one. It detects intruders and triggers an alarm. Slughorn uses it while hiding in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Jellybrain Jinx. This spell slows down someone's mental processes, making them slower and more vulnerable. It appears in the Daily Prophet newsletter, which was a collection of documents made by J.K. Rowling and posted on the website in 1999.
Members of the Harry Potter fan club in the United Kingdom could access this website.
Jellyfinger's Curse. It makes a person's fingers go completely limp, with no strength to hold anything. She also appears in the Daily Prophet newsletter. Knee Reversal Jinx. This spell makes the victim's knees get reversed, turned completely backwards. It appears in Quidditch through the ages. Knitting Spell. This spell enchants the needles to knit on their own.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets as a jinx that causes leeks to grow from the victim's ears.
In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, a fourth-year Gryffindor uses it on a sixth-year Slytherin before the final Quidditch match.
Ministry of Magic Patented Mist. This patented mist from the Ministry of Magic is used to hide certain magical places. It also debuts in the Daily Prophet newsletter. Spell to Erase Footprints. This spell erases footprints from the ground and other traces.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, in the book. It's used when Hermione erases the footprints to hide that they were in Hagrid's hut.
Spell to Extract Pain and Suffering. Invented by Isadora Morganac, this spell allowed the extraction of pain and suffering from an individual.
This is dangerous, since pain and suffering are essential for personal growth. Besides, this pain and suffering had to be stored somewhere, which was very dangerous. This spell appears in the game Hogwarts Legacy, Daydream Charm. This spell was created by Fred and George and provides 30 minutes of realistic daydreaming.
It is forbidden for those under 16, and its side effects include drooling and a blank expression.
In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, the pepper breath jinx makes the victim's breath hot and burning.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire when Harry researches how to get past the dragon. Permanent Sticking Charm. This spell fixes objects in place so they can't be removed. It appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. It's the spell on Sirius's mother's portrait. Positioning Charm.
It magically places an object in a specific location.
It's a spell used to put restraints on Kelpies, for example. That's how you tame a Kelpie. It appears in the book Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Protean Charm. This spell makes copies of an object magically change as the original is altered.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Hermione uses this spell to enchant the fake galleons, so that the members of Dumbledore's army are updated about the dates of the new meetings without raising suspicion.
Protective Capsule Spell. This spell surrounds the caster in a transparent protective globe that repels spells and physical objects thrown at them.
It appears in Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, and The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Maybe it's an advanced version of Protego, but since it doesn't have an incantation, we don't know. Purple Spark Spell. This spell makes purple fireworks come out of the tip of the wand. Dumbledore uses it in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone to calm students panicking over the troll invading Hogwarts. Pus Squirting Jinx. This spell makes the victim's nose start squirting pus uncontrollably. It appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Morphin Gaunt uses this spell on the head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, who visits to serve a summons for spells cast on muggles.
Rose Summoning Spell. This spell makes rose bushes grow at an abnormally fast rate.
It appears in Harry Potter Magic Weekend.
Hellebore Summoning Spell. This spell also makes flowers appear, specifically hellebores.
And it's used by Hermione in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when she conjures a crown of flowers to place on Harry's parents' grave.
Rowboat Spell. This spell makes a boat move on its own, as if someone were rowing it.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone when Hagrid rescues Harry from the hut, and it's also the spell used on the little boats at Hogwarts. Refilling Spell. This spell replenishes whatever the caster enchants. For example, drinks in a glass, which keep getting refilled non-stop. It appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, while Hagrid and Slughorn were drinking after Aragog's funeral. Sardine Sneezing Jinx. This spell makes the victim uncontrollably sneeze sardines out of their nose.
In Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Hagrid mentions he's already been a victim of this spell.
Sauce Making Spell. This spell conjures a creamy sauce from the tip of the wand.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire as Molly makes dinner. Sealing Spell.
This spell seals envelopes and scrolls, first appearing in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix when Umbridge uses it on a scroll.
Sea Urchin Jinx. This spell partially transforms the victim into a sea urchin.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when Percy uses it during the Battle of Hogwarts against Pius Thicknessa. Shield Breaking Spell. It destroys enchantments and magical shields.
It first appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when Voldemort uses it against Hogwarts protection in the movie.
Shooting Spell. This spell makes the air move so fast and powerfully that it's equivalent to a Muggle firearm shot. It appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione try to destroy the Locket Horcrux and don't get any results.
And also in the deleted scene, where Harry and Ron are trying to hunt a rabbit to eat.
Crushing Spell. This spell produces an energy that creates a significant impact on the environment. In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Bellatrix Lestrange uses it in the Great Hall to destroy the windows. Slippery Jinx. This spell makes an object completely slippery and very hard to hold.
It's featured in Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery.
Sound Spell. Unlike Sonorous, which amplifies the caster's voice, this spell emits an amplified roar from the tip of the wand, causing a noise that disturbs everything in its path. It can also injure opponents and appears in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban on Game Boy Advance.
Sponge Knees Curse. This spell makes the victim's legs spongy, soft like sponges, making it difficult for them to walk.
It appears in the Daily Prophet newsletter. Spell to transfigure a quill into a worm. This spell, as the name suggests, transforms a quill into a worm.
It appears in the Harry Potter trading card game. Sneakoscope spell. This spell detects movement in an environment where it has been cast. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, when Umbridge casts the spell in her office after Nifflers are released. That's how she catches Harry when he tries to use her fireplace. Furnunculus Jinx. This spell reproduces the effects of a very potent insect bite.
It's very painful and ends up deforming, leaving the area swollen where the person is hit.
This spell appears in Deathly Hallows, when Hermione uses it to try to disguise Harry when they are captured. Stretching Jinx. This spell makes the victim stretch like a rubber band. It appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, when Molly mentions Ron's growth and jokes that it looked like he had been a victim of this spell.
Sensory Spell. This spell grants the caster enhanced senses to see or feel things they normally wouldn't. In Deathly Hallows, Ron mentions in the epilogue as an adult that he wanted to use the switching spell to replace car mirrors. This spell swaps objects, parts of objects, or creatures.
It likely works on humans too. It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Harry is researching a way to get past the dragon in the first task of the Triwizard Tournament. Hermione says it would be helpful if he could turn the dragon's teeth into chewing gum.
Taboo Jinx. When this jinx is cast and applied to a word or name, when that name is spoken, it ends up causing a magical disturbance,
which breaks all the protective enchantments in the area, revealing the location of whoever said the word that has the spell. It breaks most protections, but not all of them. For example, the Fidelius charm is immune to this spell. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and that's how the Death Eaters are able to find people who say Voldemort's name. Tail-growing spell. This spell causes a tail to grow on the victim. It appears in the Daily Prophet newsletter in 1999, but is likely the spell Harry uses on Dudley. Teapot to Turtle Transfiguration. This spell turns a teapot into a turtle, and it appears in the book Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. The students need to perform this spell in the Transfiguration test. Tooth Straightening Spell. It straightens crooked teeth and corrects their size. The spell appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Madame Pomfrey uses it on Hermione after she's hit by Den Saugeo.
But it was also the spell Nearly Headless Nick used, or tried, on Lady Grieve,
which led to him being sentenced to death when it went wrong.
Object Transportation Spell. This spell makes objects disappear from one place and appear in another.
In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Dumbledore uses it to move Harry's things from Privet Drive to the Burrow. Toenail Growing Jinx. This jinx causes toenails to grow uncontrollably.
It appears in Half-Blood Prince. Harry uses it against Goyle because he saw it in the Half-Blood Prince's book. It's also one of the spells that Snape created.
Transmogrifian Torture. As the name suggests, it likely tortures the victim. This spell is mentioned in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Gilderoy Lockhart thought it killed Madame Norris, though she was only petrified. Tripping Jinx. This spell forces the target to trip and fall.
It appears in Order of the Phoenix when Harry casts it on Malfoy in the book. Twitchy Ears Spell. This spell makes the victim's ears twitch.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Moody casts it on Harry in a Defense Against the Dark Arts class. In this case, the fake Moody, right? Unbreakable Object Spell. As the name suggests, it makes objects unbreakable.
Hermione uses this spell to protect the jar where she traps Rita Skeeter in her animagus form.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, the book. Unbreakable Vow. Although the name is Unbreakable Vow, the spell cast there doesn't have a specific incantation.
That's why it's included. The Unbreakable Vow is already a spell. It makes the person who swears something die if they don't keep their promise.
It appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince when Snape makes the vow with Narcissa.
Unsupported Flight Spell. This spell allows the wizard to fly without the help of a broom, creature, or any other support, to fly on their own.
Voldemort created it, and Snape also knew how to use it. It first appears in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows.
Vacuum Cleaner Spell. Well, as the name suggests, it makes the wand suck up dirt as if it were a vacuum cleaner.
In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Madame Malkin uses it to clean dirt from her shop.
4-point spell. This spell turns the wand into a kind of compass that points north.
Harry uses it in the maze during the third task in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. It's Dumbledore's spell. The actual effect of this spell is unknown, because it is not seen hitting the victim. In the duel at the Ministry of Magic between Voldemort and Dumbledore, Dumbledore casts this spell, which is so powerful and thunderous that you can feel the spell being cast from far away.
And Voldemort is forced to conjure a silver shield to defend himself.
And the spell makes a deafening noise when it hits that shield. Silver Shield Conjuration. This spell conjures a silver shield to protect against specific spells. In Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Voldemort conjures it during the Ministry duel to defend against Dumbledore's spell.
Water Capsule Spell. This spell allows the caster to manipulate water from a location and surround the victim in a controlled globe of water.
It also appears in Order of the Phoenix during Dumbledore and Voldemort's duel. Fire Rope Spell. This spell conjures a long, thin flame from the tip of the wand and wraps it around the target's body to immobilize them. It is cast by Dumbledore in Order of the Phoenix during the Battle of the Department of Mysteries. Transfigure Fire Spell into Snake. Voldemort uses this spell to transfigure the rope of flame that Dumbledore conjures into a snake.
It is not known if it is Fiendfire, if it has anything to do with Fiendfire, or if it is just a transfiguration of that magic.
It also appears in the duel between Dumbledore and Voldemort in Order of the Phoenix.
And last but not least, the Shape-Shifting Spell. This spell changes the shape and color of an inanimate object, and it appears in Hogwarts Legacy. If you've made it this far, you were clearly interested in learning all the spells in Harry Potter.
All these spells I mentioned here have sources in Harry Potter media, all the ones that appear here. Maybe I missed one, it's possible, but all the ones I mentioned here have a source somewhere.
They either appear in a game, or in a book, or in a document, or in a text.
There are several spells invented on the internet that have no source at all. So maybe you'll come across another spell out there that isn't on this list. It's likely because it lacks a canonical or official Harry Potter source. I really hope you enjoyed learning all the Harry Potter spells. I bet you got to the last one and had already forgotten the first one. Probably forgot all the ones in the middle too, but that's okay. The video aimed to introduce all these spells. Did you realize there were so many in Harry Potter? I still think there aren't enough, because if I were a wizard, my friend, I would invent so many spells that I wouldn't. Wow, and like this? Sorry for the kind of gross topic.
I wouldn't use my hand to clean myself in the bathroom. I'd just wave my wand and be clean and neat.
What is that, man? No, wizard spells do so little, still so little. There should be more. There definitely has to be more, right?
Many cultures worldwide have various spells. There must be others too. Hope you enjoyed it.
See you next episode of Caldeiraofurado. Until then, mischief managed.